The second you begin to explain yourself, you've already conceded the high ground. Picture the moment. A subtle critique lands across the table, a comment designed not to seek clarity, but to test your stability. You feel the familiar heat rise. Your throat tightens. The instinct is primal. Clarify, defend, justify. It feels like self-preservation, but in that very instant you've surrendered. You've accepted their frame, stepped into their courtroom, and taken the role of the accused. Stoic philosophy offers a challenging but freeing idea. You are not responsible for how others interpret your silence, your boundaries, or your choices. You are only responsible for your own integrity. Do not plead to be understood. Be still, be certain. Let the tempest rage while you stand rooted, like a mountain. If you feel that pull toward unshakable calm, toward becoming immovable in a reactive world, then consider subscribing to Stoic Mindset Mastery. For the part of you ready to stop, defending, and start living from truth, it begins innocuously. A raised eyebrow, a loaded question disguised as curiosity, a tone that lands just off-center, making you flinch. And in that split second, an ancient ingrained reflex awakens. You open your mouth, you explain, you offer context, soften edges, defend your name and your intent, all without ever questioning who granted them the authority to judge. This surrender isn't weakness. It's the deep human longing to be seen correctly, to ensure others view the version of ourselves we've so carefully curated. But the moment you play defense, you've accepted their narrative. You've silently confirmed their judgment holds more weight than your own inner compass. That's the invisible cage we lock ourselves inside, built not with iron, but with endless explanations. We think we're communicating, but we're performing. We hope our words will polish the mirror of their perception. But perception isn't a mirror, it's a prism fractured by the viewer's own biases. And yet, we contort ourselves trying to fix a reflection that was never ours to control. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught that if someone speaks poorly of you, do not defend yourself against their words. Instead, reply, "They clearly do not know me well, otherwise they would have mentioned my other faults." That isn't sarcasm, it's detachment, it's power. When you stop defending, you step out of the role they've written for you. You become something they cannot define. And people are unsettled by what they cannot categorize. There is a profound liberation in realizing you are not obligated to be understood, that your worth does not diminish when misinterpreted. But to live this, you must break a lifelong habit, one carved in childhood when safety depended on being good. You learned to explain to avoid punishment, to win back affection. You carried that strategy into adulthood. Not seeing it now weakens. You are not a child pleading for mercy. You have the right to exist in peace. The people demanding explanations often seek not truth, but leverage. Your defense becomes the rope they use to pull you. So next time your heart races at a judgment, when your palms sweat and your mind prepares its counter-argument, pause. Ask yourself, what if I don't? What if I let the accusation hang in the air, untouched? Usually it withers there, starved of the energy your reaction would have fed it. People are accustomed to controlling others through emotional provocation. When you remain still, when you refuse to seek redemption in their eyes, they have nothing to push against. You become a wall of calm. You don't swing, you don't fall, you simply remain. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgment of them. You are the gatekeeper of your reaction. The power you've been giving away wasn't taken, it was volunteered. Once you see that, you cannot unsee it. You'll notice how often you explain to be liked, to be forgiven, to avoid awkwardness. You'll catch yourself justifying harmless choices to strangers. You'll see how frequently you trade your peace for temporary approval. But a shift occurs when you stop, when you resist the urge to plead your case and let your actions speak instead. You begin to cultivate an internal gravity, something dense and solid, unswayed by winds of criticism. Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who others are comfortable with, and who you truly are doesn't require a press release upon every misunderstanding. So let them misunderstand. Let them build their narratives. Let them talk. Your task is not to edit their perceptions, but to live in alignment with your own truth. This isn't about being cold. It's about being grounded. Respond when necessary, but never from desperation. Speak with purpose, not to serve your ego. Seneca reminds us that no one can live happily or even bearably without the pursuit of wisdom, and wisdom does not shout. It does not argue. It stands quietly, consistently, in full possession of itself. When you cease needing to explain, you taste a new kind of power. Not loud power that craves recognition, but silent, anchored power. You become untouchable, not because you fight harder, but because you stop showing up to battles that were never yours. You are no longer a defendant. You are a sovereign being who knows that being misunderstood is a minor fee for the luxury of freedom. Your value is not a debate to be won in someone else's courtroom. This reflex wasn't your choice. It was etched into you over time, long before you had the language to resist. Back then, defense wasn't insecurity. It was survival. A child in a world where misunderstanding meant punishment or withdrawal of love. So you learned the script. I didn't mean to. That's not what happened. Please believe me. With each plea, you weren't just avoiding consequence. You were fighting for connection, defending your place in the tribe. But that survival mechanism has outlived its purpose. You've grown, but the reflex hasn't. You've changed roles, yet you still react like a child in trouble. And the great tragedy is that most never realize the very thing they think keeps them safe is what keeps them small. So now, when someone questions your motives, your worth, your tone, you respond as if on trial. But there is no courtroom. That is the grand illusion. There is no judge with the power to strip your value, no jury entitled to decide your fate. There is only another person viewing the world through the distorted lens of their own fears and assumptions. And when you rush to defend, you treat their opinion as truth. You whisper, "Your view of me is more real than my own." Nothing drains you faster than chasing validation in a world built on projection. You become a puppet to every strong opinion, a reflection of the loudest voice in the room. The deeper wound is this: defending becomes your identity. You start believing your life's purpose is to prove you're good, kind, worthy. But that isn't integrity, it's a performance. True character, like a cliff face, doesn't defend itself against the weather. It simply endures. When you rely on external approval, your self-respect grows fragile, easily shattered by criticism, easily manipulated by guilt. You overextend to win back favor. You agree to things you don't believe to avoid being misjudged. You keep explaining to people who aren't listening. And each time you confirm their approval matters more than your peace. To break this, you don't need to become callous. You need to become clear. Recognize that most accusations aren't about truth. They're about control. Someone is unsettled by your boundaries, your growth, your quiet confidence. Instead of sitting with their own discomfort, they try to transfer it to you. And you, conditioned by a lifetime of habit, rush in to make it better. But what if you didn't? What if you let them sit with their own unease, instead of carrying it for them? That is what it means to reclaim your strength. Seneca said we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Every time you scramble to prevent a misjudgment, you suffer twice. First from the fear, then from the frantic reaction. The cruel irony: the more you strive to be understood, the more misunderstood you become. Your constant defense makes people question your confidence. They start to believe the narrative you're so desperately trying to disprove. The more you try to seem trustworthy, the more suspicious you appear. And deep down you feel it, that hollow ache of never being quite enough, no matter how much you explain. But that ache isn't a flaw, it's a compass. It points directly back to the moments you gave your power away. Stillness is the soil where self-respect grows. Unshakable roots. Carl Jung called shame a soul-eating emotion. The only way to starve it is to stop feeding it with explanations. To stop whispering, "Please see me," and start declaring, "I see myself," and that is enough. The world will not always grasp you. That is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be accepted. Understanding is not a debt owed to you, and you do not need it to stand tall. When you stop living for approval, you start living from alignment. And from that place, everything transforms. Your energy sharpens, your relationships purify, your sense of self becomes impervious. Socrates urged us to find ourselves by thinking for ourselves. So think for yourself, speak for yourself, but do not beg to be seen. You are not here to be easily digested by every person you meet. You are here to live fully, honestly. That will always be misunderstood by some, and that is perfectly fine, because when you are no longer trained to submit, you are finally free to stand. And silence, chosen, not forced, becomes your most eloquent reply. There's a quiet yearning in almost everyone to be deeply, truly seen. Not for attention, but for comprehension, to be known without reduction. We carry this soft hope into interactions, believing that with the right words, the perfect explanation, someone will finally say, "I see you." But that day rarely comes. Most aren't listening to understand. They're listening to categorize, to confirm biases, or to gain an edge. Every time you defend, you place that fragile hope into hands unequipped to hold it. You aren't defending from a love of conflict, but from a desire for peace. Yet the very chase for understanding is what steals your peace. You speak from invisibility, over-explain from fear of being labeled. You open your chest repeatedly, hoping this time they won't wound you with their assumptions. But those determined to misunderstand always will. And the more you correct them, the more entangled you become. Each defense confirms their opinion matters more than your own, that their misinterpretation has the power to define you. And once you accept that, you've lost your footing. There is a formidable strength in those who no longer explain, not from bitterness, but from alignment. Alignment doesn't beg for recognition. It simply exists, like a star that burns whether anyone gazes upon it or not. The more you speak just to be seen, the more power you cede. You hand the keys to your emotional state to those who haven't earned them. And even with the best intent, you slowly drift from yourself. You perform honesty instead of living it. You decorate words with enough truth to be convincing, but you know you're speaking to be liked, not to be free. There is a peculiar power in letting them be wrong, not from arrogance, but from a quiet, grounded confidence that says, "If you don't see me, that is fine. I see me." This isn't surrender, it's the choice of peace. You realize no defense, no proof can grant the safety that comes from being rooted in your own truth. The more you lean into this, the more freedom you feel. You stop needing to be the hero in another story. You stop trying to control how they write your chapter. Let them tell whatever tale they need. It doesn't alter who you are. Marcus Aurelius noted that the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none know the subject. Who knows more about you than you? Who sees your heart, your struggle, your growth more clearly? That is your foundation, not applause, not agreement, just presence, just your own quiet, unshakable truth. When that becomes enough, when you stop trying to be seen and start choosing to be sovereign, everything changes. The noise fades, the chaos stills, and you realize you never needed to be explained. You only needed to be remembered by the one person whose understanding truly matters: yourself. The most unsettling accusation isn't always the false one. It's the one that challenges the noble self-image you've constructed. When called selfish or cold, the urge surges to set the record straight, to show them your goodness. But what if you let that urge pass unacted? What if you chose stillness? That kind of silence is disarming. When you don't react, they lose their script. They expected a fight, an apology, something to advance their narrative. Your calm becomes a mirror, reflecting not you, but their own tone, assumptions, and unresolved fears back at them. Suddenly, they're left with themselves, and that is deeply uncomfortable for most. We're conditioned to see silence as weakness, as guilt. But silence born of strength is something else entirely. It is presence, weight, gravity, the kind of stillness that alters a room's energy without a word. This isn't passive, it's restrained power. It's deciding your peace outweighs their validation. There's strength in being unreadable, in not broadcasting your inner world for dissection. You don't owe your energy to every loud voice. You don't have to match their chaos. And when you don't, it reveals everything. They may call you arrogant for not chasing their approval, cold for not melting under pressure. Their labels speak volumes about them, and in your stillness, that becomes starkly clear. Marcus Aurelius said the best revenge is to refuse to become like your enemy. Don't relinquish your self-control in a bid to make them comprehend your character. Don't descend into their noise. When you remain centered, you demonstrate that not every fire needs more fuel. Sometimes the most potent action is disciplined inaction. Stillness isn't emotionless. It's the refusal to be ruled by emotion. You can feel the sting and still choose quiet. You can hold your truth without brandishing it as a shield. You choose not to defend because you already know who you are. And if that knowing is solid, what others say passes through you. Like wind through a canyon, it may howl, but it cannot move the stone. That is real strength, not domination, but deep, quiet self-respect. It doesn't shout. It doesn't engage every skirmish. It understands that not every critic deserves a conversation. You become the eye of the storm, calm, steady, while chaos spins around you. That presence is felt, remembered. Consistency in stillness builds a reputation, not one you chase, but one that follows. People sense you're not easily rattled, that you engage only when it matters, that your silence is awareness, not ignorance. In that pause, they are invited to confront their own projections. Most won't, but you remain unchanged, and that is enough. Aristotle taught that self-knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. Constant defense prevents that knowing. Stillness grants the space to reflect, to align, to choose. You stop reacting, you start responding, and sometimes the finest response is no response at all. You realize you needn't prove your worth in another's storm. You needn't shout over their noise or offer your peace as a bargaining chip. You sit in stillness, not to punish, but to protect. And in that quiet, you remember, you are not here to be controlled by chaos. You are here to embody something that doesn't break under pressure, something that needs no defense because it cannot be shaken. You are here to be still, and in that stillness, you become powerful beyond measure. If this message connected with you, there's another video on screen now to take you deeper. Watch it next. And if you found value here, please like this video. It genuinely supports Stoic Mindset Mastery. Thank you for walking this path.